The economic crisis is not the real objection. This week, I want to address something really important. It's an issue that I know you're dealing with, and it's an issue that you probably are struggling with as well, and that is objections, specifically in reference to the economic crisis. Because I'll bet that the number one objection that you're getting, in fact, it may be the only objection, is the economic crisis. Here's the thing though, ever since the beginning of sales history, anytime there's been a crisis, or a recession, or an economic downturn, customers use it's a crisis or a downturn or a recession as their objection. But here's the thing, that's not the real objection. I know they're telling you that they can't buy because of the economic crisis. And for sure, some companies, that is a real objection because some companies are going bankrupt. However, if you look around the markets and you look around the world, business is still transpiring. Companies are still buying and things are still moving. So there are companies out there that are still making buying decisions regardless of whether there's a crisis. Here's what I want to impress upon you. Most customers will use the "it's an economic crisis" objection for everything. And the reality is that's not the real objection. The real objection for most customers is usually around 4 different things. Number 1, they don't feel that you're solving a problem that they have. Number 2, they don't feel that you're necessarily bringing any value. Number 3, they may not trust you or your company or the situation. And number 4, and this is really important in the times we're living in now, they don't feel that what you're offering is going to give them hope about the future. You're probably wondering, okay, John, let's say for a moment that you're right. Let's say that the real objection customers have isn't the economic crisis. Let's say that it is around one of those 4 things you just mentioned. Okay then, what do I do if a customer tells me, hey, I can't buy right now because there's an economic crisis? It's a good question. It's a question a lot of salespeople have been asking me recently. My answer to this is something that might surprise you. But if you think about it for just a moment, you realize that what I'm telling you really is the truth. The answer? It's real simple. You do what you've always been taught to do when you handle objections. There you go. That's really it. You see, if you understand how to answer an objection effectively, then getting the objection that it's an economic crisis is not going to be so difficult for you. So just in case you've never been taught on how to answer objections correctly, let me give you a quick process here. When a customer brings up an objection, I don't care what it is, I don't care how they phrase it, the first response from you has to be one of pause. You've got to relax, you've got to be cool about this, and you've got to be calm. Because if you show the customer that their objection is something that bothers you or throws you off balance, their first thought, I don't trust this guy. The second thought, he can't deal with me. The third thought, can't solve my problem. And he's got a whole bunch of other thoughts too. And those thoughts bring doubt into the selling situation. So if a customer says to you, well, I can't buy now because of the economic crisis, just be cool, relax, and go to step number 2.
This episode continues next week on Sold. Here's a sneak preview.
Now, of course, this brings up the question, how do you go from your customer telling you there's an economic crisis and that's their objection to one of those 4 routes? Well, here's what you do. Understand this though, just telling them words is not enough. They've got to feel that by taking advantage of your offer, their objection is not only overcome, but handled and giving them some benefit in some positive way. You keep on asking questions till you really can identify where their problem is and which one of those 4 routes is really their objection.
Don't miss it.